And here we are again. Live, Love, Loss, episode number, I believe,
16.
Holy smokers.
I'm looking at the outline.
Woo! I'm Jason McIntosh.
And I'm your host, Katrina Madewell.
Yes, you are.
We're back. We're back if you missed the racy episode.
The tales of Katrina Madewell that didn't end well.
You weren't expecting any of that today?
No, we got it all.
All right, so here's another spicy one for you. So episode 16, how to deal with your kids when you start dating after loss. Mm-hmm. This is going to be fun. I'll tell you where I'm at, and we can chat about this. So,
and so this is not taboo. If you might be at the listen. Let's full disclosure. We've both been through our stages of grief. You've already been through them.
Yes.
So
unfortunately, I was grieving Chris when he was still alive. It happens.
Yeah, and so we got to definitely put that out there. And you probably are going to be ready for this when you have really completed all of the steps, I would say. But also know that when it's okay to put your foot into the water, a little toe, whatever you're going to do. It's because you will always have some form of, you always grieve that loved one for the rest of your life.
Right.
The loss. You will have that that's loss. You lost a person. You didn't find them. You're not going to find them.
Right.
So that loss you'll live with forever. Now you're just living, part of the show, live. This is the live part.
Right.
After you've lost.
Yeah, we're definitely in the live part.
Yeah.
Or trying to live, but anyway.
It could be pretty live.
So
pretty lit.
I'm at this interesting
pool parties and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Funky crossroad.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you didn't hear the last episode, you want to listen to that one. Anyway, where I have adult kids. I have 2 adult children that are 19 and 22 that live with me. Mm-hmm. And we're having some crazy conversations right now. Like they're way too far up in my business. They already know that I had sex with this guy. I had to tell them. Like they're really all up in my you-know-what. And we're starting to have some very in-depth conversations to where my daughter said some really mean things to me today. Maybe I'll share later on the show. And it was really unfair. And so I realize they're still grieving their dad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I'm looking at it from both sides. So, and that could be from a lack of communication, that's going to happen too, because it's uncomfortable. It's awkward. It's things you don't think you should talk about with your child. And maybe, but what you do is acknowledge them and their feelings, and know it's not fair for them to do it as well, but understand that, because they certainly would not like that if you were judging them and the boy or guy or girl they're dating, any of that, they wouldn't be having it either. But they didn't just lose someone that they were supposed to spend the rest of their life with either. So I understand both sides of it, because 17 years later, I've lived both sides of that. And so I think that it's just acknowledging their feelings. And my children are very, very young. So how do you sit here and have a conversation with an 8-year-old about that? It's wildly inappropriate, I would think, they're not understanding it in the same context. But I can also tell you that even as they became older, and the interesting thing is, I never really had this issue with my younger daughter because she didn't have the loss. She grew up without a mother.
Right.
But the loss was already there. Not that she didn't have the loss, because that's.
But it wasn't like you guys, like the older kids.
That's probably a bad way to put it, because there was definitely something missing.
She didn't experience it the same way you guys did.
Yes. So, therefore, she's 17 now, and my daughter at 17 was way different with any woman being in my life, because by then there was, like, even the one I was telling you about that I dated on the team for 3 years. Mm-hmm. She hated her in the beginning, and was just really just like me. And like 1 year after we were dating for a while, many, many years ago, we all went on a trip together, stayed down at the Keys for Thanksgiving, did Thanksgiving there, all of us. And she was just really sideways and just really kind of she had, no, she didn't have, she was pregnant with her oldest now. She'd kick my ass right now if she was listening to the show. But she just was, I don't know, she just didn't really, I had to acknowledge what was going on, because it had been a while since Well, I say had been a while. It was the first serious relationship I had since her mother passed, and she was 8 years old. So that's a real loss. So at the time, I might have been thinking about it one way. And then this is where there was this is a father being very protective when the girl I was dating kind of would say some things like, that's very disrespectful and to me privately. And I said to her, I'm going to stop you dead in your tracks right now. Like, you are the first relationship since she lost her mother back in 2008. So you know what? How dare you? What she's going through right now, and I would say this to her a lot, what you're going through right now, your children have not had to live, and I pray they never do. Right? So if they did, man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I that actually pissed me off. I was not happy about that. And so I went into protective mode with my daughter. And it's like, I even acknowledge it. Not that I condoned it, but I knew what my daughter was doing and why. And I don't think she even did. And right now, maybe she'll admit it or maybe she won't, even now if I were to have this conversation with her. But I knew that was what was going on at the time. Because it stirred up a lot, I think. Unresolved feelings and things that, the loss. I mean, you still feel it many, many, many years later, right? You still always will, especially for a child and the parent. It's when you lose a partner and you go out and you date again, because relationships do end, and a relationship that you have with a man or woman is different than the relationship you have with your child.
Very much
your
so.
offspring.
Yeah.
Way different.
Yep.
So, if it didn't work out, you divorce, you break up, I mean, you can still do all those same things with a completely different person. You don't go out and have another child.
Right.
I mean, you can, but I mean, you don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. So you have to put yourself in what they're experiencing in the moment.
So it's a little different, obviously, with your kids being younger. I think the dynamics change a little bit for me because I am the mom. I am an adult, right? I'm 50 years old. I don't need my kids trying to tell me what I can and can't do. And to give you a little bit of context.
No, you don't, but you definitely have the responsibility to acknowledge what they're dealing with right now.
And I am, and
9 months later.
I am, and I have. I'll give you some context, though.
Okay.
Okay. And I may or may not have mentioned this before, so I'll just mention a few things. It's not just me. There's other people that I feel like are, like, including people that I would consider friends to my husband, right? So, for example, my handyman, have worked with him a lot for a multitude of years. My husband ended up getting kind of close to them. They became friends. They really liked each other. And my handyman was like crushed when Chris passed away. He was very upset. And in the coming weeks and months after his passing, he would be around at the house, like doing some stuff, and he would listen to some of the stuff that the kids would say to me, and they're like extreme helicopter kids, like extreme. And he really doesn't, he's the type of person, he doesn't say anything. The handyman usually is not going to speak up or get in the middle of anything or say anything. But literally him more than once he totally like defended me to my own kids and said, you guys really need to lay off your mom. Like, she is not doing anything wrong here. And mind you, this wasn't even dating. Like, this was me just going out, hanging out with crew people, like just doing fun stuff, trying to live, right? Trying to replace a little bit of the void that's there. And he's like, you guys really need to lay off your mother. Like, she's not doing anything wrong. And there's been more than one person that have said that.
Okay.
Because it's so over the top.
All right. So let me break this down piece by piece. Let's first start with, and I applaud the gentleman, the inspector, appraiser, the other guy.
My handyman?
Handyman.
Yeah.
I applaud him for having your back. Good job. Well played. But now I'm going to flip this thing around. They lost a parent. They don't want to lose another one. So no, they don't have any business telling you how to live their life, because when they were growing up, that's when they become more defiant, is when you tell them how to live their life. Tell them not to do something, they're going to do it in spite of. So, but what's happening there, and I can tell you this because it's 17 years later for me, I know where you're at right now in this moment because I was there too. And I will always come to your defense because I am you. Like, we had the same shit happen. So I can't sit here in judgment. I can sit here and give you context and perspective. So they don't know, because I see that in my youngest daughter. You know, even I see that with her, the fear sometimes, like she doesn't want to lose me because I'm her only parent. And I also see it with my oldest daughter from time to time. Whether it's a birthday card or a Father's Day card, that, you know, I don't know what I'd do if I lost you, you know, and so that right there, I have to stop, and I get choked up thinking about that, because like I have to even almost live an even more responsible life, because I would never want to do that to my children.
Right.
I would never want to orphan my children. Even though they're grown adults. I mean, my oldest daughter, I mean, she'll be senior year in high school, so that would be detrimental for her because she still needs a parent. So what's she going to do? She just lost her only living grandmother. Not only living grandmother. Her last piece of her mother, which was her grandmother, passed away last year. So my parents, that are both alive and still married, live, you know, back in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. So what would she do? Like she would almost like she'd have to move in with her sister type thing. Mm-hmm. So I have to be very responsible in everyday life, because that weight, I see them, you know, be concerned about that. I mean, they only have one left. Mm-hmm. You know, just the same with your kids have one left. So I think that they don't really realize they're doing that. I think it's almost like if someone else can give them perspective, there's a balance. Yeah. There's a healthy balance for the both of you. And I think it's almost like there's a therapy session right there it's like, because I can see you, this is sinking in. I know mm-hmm. I'm getting through to you right mm-hmm. now. But I can also think that like my children can get through to their children. I think that they just need to hear it from someone other than you, right? Of like, hey, this is why you're doing this. This is what's happening. You don't even realize that you're doing this. There is a healthy balance, but a lot of this is happening because there hasn't been the communication on, like, Dad's gone. He's not coming back. I'm here and I'm not going anywhere. So let me live my life. I will make mistakes. There's going to be I have to get out there and make these mistakes to find my way.
So I had some pretty in-depth conversations with my kids.
Okay. So you have.
Yeah, well, especially after a lot of all this craziness. Okay. Yeah.
Which is good.
You know, I had a very in-depth, probably a 2-hour conversation with my son, like one of the subsequent days with all this going on before all the craziness started. Uh-huh. And one of the things I said to him is I said, you know, I don't understand why you guys think I don't deserve happiness. Like why I don't get to pursue my own life.
Yes.
And he literally says, oh, that's happiness. That's what you want. He makes you happy. And I said, no, I'm not even saying that. Like, this is way too fast forward, but it's just like you have that courting stage, right? When you're dating someone, you're courting them probably for a long while before it's ever a serious relationship. So if they're super, I mean, I feel like my kid, it doesn't matter who it is. I feel like they would run anybody out. And it's gotten so over the top. I was telling Rob, like it's too much. Like literally they want to know my every move. They want to know where I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with, to the point to where I am ready to move out of my own house. Okay.
Let me also throw another observation in. It's the happiness, not necessarily the person, right? So going out, you know, having dinner, trying to socialize normally and not be cooped up in the house, mm-hmm. Or just trying to meet someone, that's happiness. You're not necessarily looking for jumping into a relationship right now. You just want to feel something other than sadness and loss.
Right, yeah.
And you absolutely deserve that. So on the opposite end of the spectrum, what would you rather me do? Sit at home and not leave the house? You know, like we've seen that in the movies where, you know, someone lose their spouse and they're locked up in the house they just drastically change and they're mourning for 10 years, right? That's not what you want either.
No.
So there's a balance there, and I think that
they're so all up in my business. Like I literally had to tell my kids that I had sex with this guy, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to have this conversation with them.
Wow.
But it was literally like so for example, this was yesterday.
Yeah.
My son approaches me, he comes up to me, he goes, Mom, I want to talk to you. Why did you lie to me? And I said, lie to you about what? I didn't lie to you. And he said, well, well, you just told me you stayed out. This was the night that I got mad and I just left. And they said, where'd you sleep? And I said, oh, I just stayed in my car because I didn't want to have the whole conversation with them. It was none of their business. And so he starts pushing back and he's like, where'd you go? And I said, well, I went over to so-and-so's house. That's where I stayed. Well, why did you lie to me? Why didn't you tell me the truth? I go, what do you want me to tell you? So then we start having these transparent conversations. And I say, look, I don't know if you realize this, but it's been like 3 years and your dad was very sick at the end. So we did not have sex. And
if you're going to go there, we're going to go there. And here it is. Right?
Yeah, I just said, we had sex. What do you want? Do you want the details? Like, I don't want to discuss this with you, you know? And so now both of my kids know. And then, as a matter of fact, this morning on the way here, I totally get like just bamboozled by my daughter. And she's going off on me, telling me, you're acting like a teenager. You're doing this. You're doing that. You need to hang out with us. You need to do this. And I said, no, you guys do not need to know my every move. You don't need to know my every location. I don't need permission to go do whatever I want to do. It's none of your business.
I understand what's going on both sides. And I do. And you're totally not wrong in anything that you're saying, period. And I think what I'm hearing is they're not processing this as well as they should be.
And they keep telling me, oh, it's too soon. You shouldn't be dating people. It's too soon.
That's none of their business.
That's what they tell me. It's too soon.
For them to decide.
Yeah. And I say, well, when you guys were out just having fun, living your own life, and your dad was currently dying.
If they were younger children still like growing up.
Exactly. 1,000%.
It'd be way different.
Yeah, but they're not. They're adults. And at some point I could say, go adult.
Yeah.
I'm an adult, you adult, and let's just have a great life, you know? We had such a strong family bond, and it's gotten super weird since Chris has been gone.
Say that again, what you just said?
We always have had a super strong family bond.
Stop it right there?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what you have to wrap your mind around right now. That's what's changed. That is what's changed. So they're going through that. They're putting you through stuff that I don't think they mean to in a malice way. And I think that this is... it's a lot for them too, right? And so, like, I'm seeing both sides because I'm going back. I mean, I was in that. Maybe I don't know if I was being selfish then, but I was lost. I was lost without my wife because my wife was what kept me in check, and she was my wife / parent / in charge / pants
checks and balance.
She was the checks and balances, the Polish checks and balances. So without my checks and balances, I got lost. I lost my way. I mean, I think I had said, back when that I went through some times where, I had was over drinking, binge drinking and just kind of, I was lost going out. I don't know what I was doing. I was just lost my way. And so I think that's what's happening with the kids is they're used to, you were their one constant. That family bond that you said, the strong family bond, was maybe their not only constant, but their biggest constant in their life, and now it's not there.
Right.
And to see, and that's what they have to come to terms with, and they have to come with reality with, and it's not fair for them to take it out on you, but I know what's happening. So that's all I can tell you is
they're helicopter children is an understatement.
Because that's going to complicate your situation, make it even more worse. I mean, it's going to...
I feel like they're not going to like anyone, no matter what, because it's not their dad.
You hit the nail on the head. That's always going to be the case. They're not...
So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with living your life?
They're not ready anytime soon, and it could be 17 years later and you still be telling the same story, but it will get easier. They'll become more tolerant. Like my daughter, oldest daughter, she has a family of her own now.
Right.
So, and every relationship has struggles, and her and her partner, they've had struggles too, the both of them, but not anymore, not lately. You never know what goes on behind closed doors, but they are still together. They have 3 children together. He's an amazing father. I mean, he loves his children. His children love him.
That's good.
And they live in the same household. I don't care how many fights you have. If you guys love each other, what I see out in public, I know is still behind the doors, even if you might not agree all the time. That's going to happen.
Right.
So they have a good family unit there, and I'm proud of the family unit they have because my daughters had that as well. and they lost the mother at 34.
Yeah.
So that
I just feel like it's different with your 17-year-old daughter because she's still 17, right? She's still in high school, but your older daughter, like, can you imagine if she's trying to coach your life from the sidelines or tell you what you can and can't do? It's just there comes.
We never had that relationship, and it's what's so interesting because I'm hearing you say all these things, and listen, my parents are still married, right? So my parents, I didn't have these. I didn't have those conversations with my parents. Maybe we're just more private. And my parents are great parents. They're wonderful parents. I love them very much. They're the perfect parents. I couldn't ask for better parents. But they were never evasive. They were not evasive, invasive, I should say. They never, this person. They let me make my own mistake. They trusted me, and they let me live my own life. And we didn't really ever have those conversations, maybe because we didn't need to. So I think that kind of carried on with me and my children, because you can sit here and listen to me talk on the show, and I can be very compassionate, and I can be very this and articulate my feelings very well. But the weird thing happens with like my daughters. I love them, but maybe I don't tell them I love them enough, and I try to, and I do it because we all get along. We all love each other. They love me. I love them, but I don't meddle, and they don't meddle in my life. I know when they're not happy, and I knew growing up, my daughter from 8 to now 25, I knew in the beginning she didn't like it, so then, I kept it private.
Right.
And I kept it to the sideline, and so...
Which is all I've been trying to do, and I cannot.
Yeah, and they weren't as old, so maybe that's it. My older daughter has a life of her own, and that was so long ago. So I didn't have that dynamic that you have. Mine was so much different. But despite the age, I know what's going through their head right now. And so when you stop and really think about what you said, and I'm just saying the same words back to you that you said, now and I saw the light bulb going for you a minute ago. But it doesn't excuse, I'm not defending them or excusing their behavior, but I understand their behavior.
Yeah.
So, but I'm also telling you, like, my dynamic with my children is where maybe we weren't as open about things, because I couldn't imagine having, and I know other people, and someone else I talk to on almost a daily basis. She's like TMI in my opinion, with her children, and she'd always make fun of me because, like, you mean you don't talk to your children about things like that? Hell no, right? Like, no way ever in God's green earth. Like, it's almost like uncomfortable and awkward for me, and like, oh, why wouldn't you do that? And I'm like, because I'm a man, they're women, and no, that's just, no, it's weird. I don't want to, like, even my daughter's having sex. Well, you got to have that conversation. No, I don't want to.
Don't want to know about it.
But I don't have a wife or a mother for them to do that, right? So, I don't know. It just depends. Like, even, not that we didn't have a tight family bond. I think we just, different families are different with conversations, and mine was on the opposite spectrum is clearly yours, right? Yeah. And so that's not right or wrong. That's just who we were. That was the dynamic, I guess, is the best way I can put that. So, but where I think both sides have to give each other more grace, right? They have to certainly give mom more grace. Mom certainly has to give them more grace, and both sides. Neither one of you know what you're really doing as far as that goes. You don't really know that you may be pushing them in that direction. They may not know that what they're doing is wrong, I think, but you've had a chance obviously to talk to them about it, right? So the going out and having fun part, like, I think the conversation there is like, I am going to go out, I am going to have fun, I work hard, I deserve that, I'm not going to stay at home and lock myself. You go out and have fun, don't you? How do you think you met your person that you're in a relationship with? I mean, no, shame on you for not wanting me to be happy and go out and have a good time. Acting like a teenager, well, you know what? I am a teenager again, right? So I'm going to have to figure it out. This is brand new to me. That was all I know. I'm in a completely different area now, so cut me some slack, give me some break, be my friend. I need you to be my friend right now.
As hard as it is to say this, I feel like it's time for us all to go live our own life. And I feel like
that's okay too.
I literally want to go buy another place and move out. That's how I'm feeling. Like,
But I think that this is very natural where you are right now, and if this wasn't happening, then it probably wouldn't be natural.
I mean, I didn't even bring anybody home. I didn't even have anyone else in my bed. Like, it's been none of that.
Yeah, it's just because there's a change in life for them, and it's different than what it was. That's what's going on right now.
Absolutely. That's something like very similar and reminiscent to what I was telling you earlier. One is not their place. Two, yes, they are definitely grieving, and I know you understand that they're working through their own stuff.
I do.
But
I do, and it's unfair though for them to tell me.
Absolutely, especially you did. Your
It's
daughter,
unfair for you to not allow them to feel what they're feeling right now.
You did your daughter a great service by kind of capping what she said. By not giving the full load of what she said to you. Like, regardless of how she's feeling, you should not be spoken to that way.
Yeah.
No, you're still their mother.
Well,
Correct.
I shared some stuff with Rob before the show. It was bad.
Words
All right.
that they used those are very damaging, hurtful words.
Yep.
You saying that her acting like you're acting like a teenager, that's the light end of the spectrum of what was said.
It was
to you.
the light end.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's not you. Like I said, you did her a very good service by kind of limiting what
I would agree. I wasn't there for the conversation, but no one should ever disrespect their unless
You probably would never call your mother this.
No.
You would not say some of the
Call a
things that
name
were
was-
said. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you
was it
don't wanna do that.
Mary Magdalene? I think was referred to that as that in the Bible.
Okay, yep.
That's not.
I understand now.
So
the W word.
Yes.
yeah, so it's there was a lot of really just mean things said, and I was pretty
But
upset
that was
when I
out
left.
of that was out of anger.
Yes.
Out of anger, confusion, anger at the world, anger at the situation, anger that her father's not here.
And at the same time, I get teed off because I'm the mom, I'm the adult. I built this life, and when they were acting like nothing was going on, I was trying to
Can I
tell
ask you
them the
something?
whole time, "Hey, you're losing your dad."
Can I ask you something?
Yeah,
Are your parents still alive, both of them?
my mom is.
Okay, when did you lose your dad?
I never met him.
Okay, there you go. So none of that makes sense to you because you never experienced it. So now you have
But
to.
I lost my grandfather. He was very much like my dad.
Okay, so but way different because, and I say way different because it's the dating part and like when he started dating because he was still with his other, right? So
My grandfather? No, my grandmother passed before.
okay, there you go. So then you don't have any context to anything that's going on for them. So that's what I'm saying. Nor can they. So it's true on both sides. They don't have context. Neither do you. You're both dealing with the same loss. That's the ironic part about this whole thing.
So how do
Guys,
you deal with this
we are
situation?
dealing with the same loss.
So how do you deal with the
I-
situation
I-
where
but
you
I'm
have
not-
kids trying to parent the parent? They're way overstepping boundaries. You're having conversations you don't want to have with your kids just because you don't want to lie to them, right? You want to keep that family bond. And they're asking you questions. There's no other way to answer it unless
I'm going to tell you, there has to be a mediator here. There has to be someone other than you're not always going to. You're not always going to be. They need to sometimes hear it from a different person rather than you, because it doesn't matter how right you are and how much it makes sense. In the other person's eyes, you'll be wrong because everyone, their the story, they're going to have their version. You're going to have your version, but the loss is the same. That's what I'm getting at. So how do you do this? You don't have to pay for therapy, but you have to have someone that can kind of give them what they need to hear and tell you what you need to hear. So I just think you need to have
but
someone.
they have. Like I'm thinking about
Not from,
even
from
I'm-
other people.
Yes, I'm thinking about like one of my good friends, Danielle. She's pretty close to my youngest daughter. They also talk a lot, and even they, like so many people in my world,
But
say they're
has,
so over the top. They're so
okay,
overzealous.
I get it. But have they acknowledged them first before they have the
Yes.
conversation?
I
Are
believe
you
so.
sure? You
Okay,
know,
I don't.
you
okay.
don't. Okay.
I'm not in the room, so
Let me help
maybe
you.
not.
Let's take a different approach. Let's try a new person. All right. If they were to take a completely different approach and almost like purposely go in siding with them, they might have to be a little sneaky, right? They might have to be a little stealth, but they go in and yes, you know what? That is nope. Yeah. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? And go in with an intention of, but why do you think she's doing that? Let's think about that for a minute. right? So they have to acknowledge them first. They have to agree with them almost and almost shun you and almost condemn you and then reel it back in. That's what has to happen. I hate to say it.
So how do you do that?
Would you like me to do it? Like so?
Oh, gosh.
Right? I'm just
That
saying,
would get fun,
how
especially after last week.
what I'm telling you is this. You have to have this same conversation with someone you know and trust that knows your children, and they have to take the approach of, let's just have lunch, let's do this, and let them, give them the mic, give them the show, and just listen and shut up. Let them get it all out, because at some point in time, if the exercise works and they get everything out, they're going to realize what assholes they're being at some point in time.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
No, they will.
Hopefully.
But Rob, you don't let me finish. Because what happens is now they feel better by just simply the act of purging. Now it's out. They've been seen. They've been heard. They were listened to. So now all the pieces are all right there on the table, on the floor, whatever they are. And now you can start to put those pieces back together, right? So now you rebuild them back, and then you start to try to take the approach of, well, let's try to understand why she's going through that. What is she going through? What's causing these actions? Why is she acting out in this way? Maybe it has something to do with this. Maybe it has something. You lost a father. She lost her partner in life, her soulmate, her love of her life. That will never come back. You will continue to live your life. She continues to live her life, but yet either they're in a relationship now and they're happy, or they're going to meet someone at some point in time. Let's pray that you don't go through what she just went through, right? So I think that is what has to happen. They first need to be acknowledged, heard, seen, and get it out, and then give them perspective and context on where you're at the moment. And then it will drastically be different. It may not be a fix right then and there, but it will be said, and they will understand, and they'll stop and think about that a little bit more. They will reflect, because they will sit there and reflect upon that after that they leave that conversation. They'll think about that. And maybe they'll stop and think a little bit more before they speak.
I love this topic too, because you guys, your kids were, experienced this similar path, this lost path of their parent at different phases of their life.
Yeah.
Your kids were very young.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your kids are adults.
Yeah.
So I love hearing like the gentle side of Jason's perspective, because his perspective is coming from
His is way more gentle than mine
living the life,
because
after.
you're still raw, and you're angry.
And I'm not
I'm really angry that my kids are trying to tell me what to do.
what
I've calmed down by now, so
I'm not saying like to diminish the gentleness, but I think it also has to be said that it's a totally different plan. It's similar, but it is a different space for your kids, because they are adults. They have a better understanding of these very heavy emotions.
But no one has taken that approach, I promise you.
Sure.
They might have had conversations, but I promise you they went at it at a different trajectory and a different angle. And what they did was even make it worse, and they just shook it even more. They didn't go in and acknowledge them first.
I love the
they
idea
didn't
of
go
letting
in
them vent.
Yeah, they didn't go in there and side with him. They didn't go in there and almost at the same time condemn you, which is a strategy, right?
Well, they are condemning her. They've condemned.
No.
her for her actions.
I'm talking about the person that's speaking with him.
Oh, okay.
It's almost as if that person has to really take their side and point some fingers too, but at the same time, like
It's like good cop, bad cop, and I'm
Yeah.
the bad cop, and they get to be the good cop and take their
Yeah,
side.
They really got to go in and do that and take that approach, and then, try to understand it together. Both parties on both sides of the conversation.
Right.
Well, maybe this is what's happening. Let's stop and think about why. Because, your mother loves you. She's a great person. She just lost her companion of 30 years, 3 decades. That's,
a lifetime.
yeah, it is. It's the biggest chunk of her life on the planet as we speak. So let's try to understand and process why this is occurring right now. All right. And if it wasn't for that loss, if they would have divorced and these same things were happening, it may be a different conversation, or not as extreme.
Well, and I've been trying to talk to them, and I say, look, your dad was super codependent. I can promise you, if it was me, and I had this conversation with my son, I said, if it was me, your dad would already have had somebody moved in. I guarantee it. I know that. And he goes, oh, no, but like, ain't no woman. And I said, I'm telling you. And then you and your dad would have went to blows. You guys would have ended up freaking fighting, and he would have thrown you out. He would have said, go adult, because this is my life.
But what I'm hearing is they haven't processed the loss fully. Is what it is.
I don't think. How could they? Right? It's so new. It's so recent. Right?
They're in denial right now still.
Yeah.
And so what they're seeing is, that is because it's the one reminder or reflection of what was, because their life is their life, and it was their life even with Chris still being here. So this is a different version of their life they're not used to, right? But it's also for you as well.
Yeah.
Even more so because you shared the same bed with the man. They did not, right? So it's just so much different. And I don't think neither of you are wrong or right. It's not a matter of wrong or right in this situation. It's you are both. And then, because here's the other thing. It's like, you've had the loss. You went through the stages of grief. Right now, you're just doing the living part. And that's okay. You are allowed to do that. And that's what Chris would have wanted anyway, right? So that's all you're doing. But their version of what they knew is different. And I guess they're living through that version through you, right? And that's the best way I can put that. And it has to be, that's, well, how do I do it? How do I do it? I can promise you, if someone were to take that approach, you might have a different, at least an understanding and awareness, or at least they have provided something for them to reflect upon, to where they might be more aware of their words and their actions and their thought process, because maybe they can better understand what you're feeling. But they have to be acknowledged that their feelings matter and that people understand what they're dealing with as well, equally, if not more.
Yeah, I think that there's a very real fear. You can feel it right away, how they're afraid they're going to lose, like, to death. They feel like they're going to lose the other parent to death when one passes.
That's real.
Yeah,
and
it is
17
real.
years later,
Yeah.
my children still because they have, I'm all they have.
Yeah.
And it just, for me, like, I could never check out, right? And I mean, it's just weird. And, I think that, we all have had moments of, man, I just can't go on. But like when I say check out, you know what I mean, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I've had close friends like check out. When I say check out, they're gone, suicide. And, when you're a parent, like, that's a very selfish thing to do.
Yeah.
You even if you have that thought, you never could do it, because I think about my grandchildren. I think about my children.
Yeah.
And, that's just, or you are actually, there's times I like, what would they do? Or like, I think about even, and I hate to say it, like, I have these, since I've lost a son and I lost a spouse, I'm the exact same way my children are with me, with them. I mean, I fear it every freaking day.
Of course.
I fear it every hour, every second. I try not to think it, but I think it every day. And I think, like, I don't want to get the call. Mm-hmm. I think about my grandchildren that same way. I mean, I would freaking, I know it'd ruin my daughter.
Scary, yeah.
And I know it ruined me. And so I live in that fear every day of that. And it's been 17 years for me, for my wife, and it's been 10 years, not 10 years. It's been, Dennis passed in 2018. So it's been, 7 years, almost 8 years. So
it's interesting reading in some of these widower groups and talking to some other people I know that are also widows. One lady I talked to last week, it's been about 20 years for her when she lost her husband. We were similar in age at the time she lost him. And there's one thing that really stands out that I've seen quite a few people say it, and they talk about when you have kids or they're being like this, or they're super protective, or they don't want you to date anyone else, or they can't imagine anyone else touching you or kissing you or anything. And a couple of comments people made. They said, your kids are going to go on with their life. They're going to meet somebody. They're going to go live their own life.
Yes.
And if you don't live yours, you're still going to be sitting here by yourself, wondering where your life went.
Yes.
And so, and that's part of where we are, right? Like they're adults and my younger one, I don't know if she will ever leave the nest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting even hearing you say that, because I think about even like in my situation, like even the fact that, you obviously were looking for some sort of support, because you're mentioning, that's part of your grieving, where you go into these groups and you read things and you're talking to other people. I never once did that, right? And not because I love my wife any less than you loved your husband. It's just because, one, I was probably so caught up into, 9-month-old, 8-year-old, and 13-year-old and work and life that
and it may not have existed. It was 17 years ago. I don't think it did.
No, you're right. And no, it was a different time then.
That was before MySpace.
Yeah, so it didn't exist, Jason.
Yeah, no, you're right. There wasn't a lot
if
of that.
it was there, you might have. Because for me, I get stuff out with writing and
I
reading.
didn't have anybody so I didn't really have anybody to really
therapy.
Talk to. We did in the beginning. The hospital sent you some people. We went through some stuff, and I don't know. Therapy is just not for me. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe I need it. But I've tried the therapy thing before, and it could be so also unattached and dismissive, and just even the process of it. Like I called many places that, where do you find the right one? I know people that go counseling and they don't vibe well with the counselor, and then they make you feel more like a patient than a person. And just I've always had health insurance, and do you have health insurance? Yeah, I have health insurance. And then just even like sometimes scheduling it was difficult. And then I don't know, it wasn't for me. So people find therapy in different outlets in different ways. And I think part of the therapy is what you're going through right now, because you are a very social person. You're not a quiet person. You're not shy at all, clearly. So you have to have that stimulation in your life of other adults and other people, because you feed off of that. And so I'm giving you permission to do what you're doing right now.
If you don't, what are you going to do? You're going to sit home and go crazy.
Yeah, because
that's the alternative.
You've already been through those moments, right? Just the very fact that you mentioned that you were on these sites looking for support proves it. Because if you don't care and you're all these things, you'd be first ticket out, first train out.
No, I read a lot. As a matter of fact, when I first joined that group and I posted, there was a past client of mine that also lost his wife, and I remember he commented on the post. He made a comment and he said, I'm something along the lines of, yes, I've been in this group for a long time, and I'm sorry to see that you're here, and I know
that's
how
so
you
amazing
feel
for
and
this
what you're
person
going
to
through.
still be in that group. It gives context to,
and I see that a lot. I see a lot
Really?
of them support people, and there's some days, like, because it's
probably should get on one of these groups.
I think
now
it's
that
good.
they're here.
It's so good to read, and then
That's why we're doing the show, though.
Yeah, there's days I'll look at it, Jason, and someone like just lost their spouse, and I'll be like, I can't today. I can't look at that. I can't. But then other people will really like try to encourage them and give them stuff. Yeah. So I think for somebody like me and someone like you, that counseling really is just not an answer for us. It's a very good way to get some self-counseling.
But I tell you where I've always found, because that's when you're a giver, this is what happens, and not a taker. But I've always found therapy in giving other people therapy. That to me is therapeutic for me, is when I can help someone else.
Yeah.
So,
and they'll probably, like, if you were in those groups, I can guarantee you there would be times, like if someone's making a post about having young kids, right, and they lost their spouse in their 30s, you're probably going to chime in because you can relate and you understand and you want to give that person something you wish someone could give you at that time.
Yeah, I'm not there to claim that I must solve anybody's problems. I can just tell you what I went through, and this is what I did. These are the mistakes I could. If I could go back, I would have done this differently. I can just I can let them know they're not alone. And I think that's the big part is, we're not really trying to, even on this show, we're not necessarily trying, there isn't like a solution, right? And that's what do you do? Well, I don't know. You figure it out and you live. But
We share our story, and it's everyone else's decision in life to decide what they want to do.
because there's not a one size fits all as far as there's so many other dynamics there that go along with it. But, what we can talk about are our feelings, what we experienced. This is what happened, and maybe even, well, I wish I would have done this maybe instead. Or, there's just a lot of things. I think you can learn a lot from history, and so don't repeat itself. And I know sometimes just listening to other people, I can relate to things, and it will give me, I don't know, like context or
perspective, a different perspective.
And understand more.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's been an interesting one, right? Like how to deal with your kids when you want to start dating after a loss.
I feel like I reeled it back in and kind of changed the mood for a moment. But I think that's what's cool about this show is we're in two different places, right? So if we're both in the same place, it may be a whole different animal.
The different perspective is really good.
Yeah.
Right. Because I mean, I have my own perspective, and then, someone like Rob is listening to agreeing with my perspective, and then you share yours
the other
and
part
your
of it
kids'
is,
perspective.
but here's what's even cooler about like our situations is me being a male, you being a female, and you being a mother and I being a father. So it was the complete opposite. You lost a husband.
Right.
I lost a wife. And so even talking about like dating right now, because I am still freaking single, right? So like, and there's not even, period, whether you lose someone or not. Let's face it, relationships and dating is one of the hardest things that you'll figure out in life. So when you do find someone and you do figure it out and it is working, you stick with it and you run with it. And that's what you had, and that's what you no longer have. And I think that's what they have to know. So, and I don't care if it's you telling them that out of your own mouth, someone else telling them just the same way I just said it, they're going to understand it more, I think, from hearing it from someone else.
Yeah.
I truly do.
I think so too, but
What's their first sitting on?
a lot of people I feel like they've told them, but I think they need a better approach.
Take the approach that I took,
Yeah,
and I
approach.
promise it'll be differently. I'm not saying it'll be perfect after that, but it'll put it on the right path, and at least they can. Because if anybody, I don't care who you are, you definitely will sit and dwell and sit with that conversation and think about it and reflect, and I believe that they will. And I think that will be somewhat of a breakthrough, and it might take more of those type of conversations, but there will be a breakthrough, and then at some point an aha, but then there's also got to be a compromise on both sides, unless you guys just do like a group therapy, which that's probably not going to happen. But
I know. I'm trying not to be insensitive to their needs and what they're saying, but there's
both sides.
another whole side of me that's like,
you are entitled to live, for sure.
Yep.
And that's okay.
I think this wraps up episode 16.
Wrap it up, put a bow on it, and I hope you've got something from today or enjoyed it. And,
I got something from today, so I feel like the person listening will get something from
yes,
today.
we enjoyed giving it, so maybe on the next 3 episodes, we'll talk about me.
Yes, maybe you'll have some stories.
Well, I've got some stories. We took 3 episodes to get yours out of the way.
We're okay. We're also supposed to like grab each other's phone, remember, and do the whole like.
Oh, I've got some juicy stuff, but I'll save it for the next few. But,
all right.
There's actually been. I'll just leave us a little dangler.
So what's the next? What's episode 617 going to be about?
I have a very, very new thing that may have just happened, but it's still in the very figuring out stage.
So you got an early making relationship?
Well, what I'm saying is I was attracted to someone and not really sure.
Was it another agent?
I think. Would you just stop it? And I think that because there's a fine line there, and then after you get the first kiss out of the way, and the hand can linger or hold hands, or then okay, I'm on the right path. So I'll leave it there.
So what I'm hearing you say is Jason's going to have some juice. on the next episode.
Jason.
Or he's not going to have any juice.
Jason has a crush.
Oh.
There you go.
All right, we're going to talk about this progressive crush in episode 17 and if it's continuing on or it's going south.
I'll try not to screw it up.
We'll have to. Yeah, I think you should bring it and I'll give you some advice.
Okay, I'm down for that. I can handle it.
All right, this is episode 17. I'm Katrina Madewell.
It's been a good one, and I'm Jason McIntosh. Stay tuned.
And this is Live,
Love,
and Lost.
yes. See ya.